Speaking of spots being blown up and Kanye, right?
One
Kanye has
segment.
literally been blowing up the internet for the past couple of months. He's been consistently trending for his documentary, which I love, for all the shit he's doing to Kim, which nobody wants to acknowledge may be some sort of emotional and psychological abuse, but that's a whole nother story. Even with what he's doing with Pete, he's also dropping what musical boxes, like what is that thing he has that he's only selling his music on? I don't know.
Streaming service, something.
Right. Streaming, I think it's actually a musical device. But see, that's what happens
Yes,
when you don't do your research. Yeah, because I ain't do my research. But he did something. He
Yeah.
did something to make sure that he was the only one who benefited from the sales. And I'm not mad at all. So my question is, and we'll get into the documentary too, but my question is, do you guys think that Kanye is crazy?
I don't think. I mean, I wouldn't say he's crazy, but I believe he's admitted to being diagnosed as bipolar. So that's like a fact. So
Okay.
I don't think that defines you as being crazy, but he does
Mhm.
have mental challenges.
Well, I don't know if you guys are watching the documentary. Renata, you were going to say something?
No, I don't know if crazy is the term I would use for him. I think the public has diagnosed him based on their understanding of him, and some people
Mhm.
have a grander understanding. Some people know not much, just what's posted online or how the media outlets depict him. But I think there is not necessarily I hate the term crazy to reference him, but I think there's a disorder that has not been treated. And so
Mhm.
now, after living his life for so long, and I don't know what type of treatments he has or has not had, he has started to live his life out loud with this. And there's
Mhm.
some backpedaling that needs to happen. And I don't know, when you're a billionaire, if you want to backpedal after what you've become a billionaire with
Mhm.
this issue, right? How do you tell a billionaire, like, you actually need support in this way? And they're like, well, why? Because my life has grown to this with this
Right.
issue. So I think it's more of that. But yeah, I'm no to talk to the psychologist. He knows.
Well, what do you think, Gerald?
First of all, Kanye West is a creative genius. Like
Okay.
understanding, like trying to understand the mind of Kanye West, it would take a lot to understand like his thinking process, because it's that same thinking process that has allowed him to create as much as he has created along the years, that has propelled so many people's careers musically, right?
Yeah.
Because not just the music that he put out, but the music that he has produced for others. He has a lot of hits out there, stuff that he's done on his own, stuff that he's done for other people. So he's a genius. He's a genius. As far as his mental health has to always be taken seriously, right? It's a serious issue. And it's a known fact that he was diagnosed with bipolar mood disorder. If you
Right.
understand, in understanding that disorder, right, we
Mhm.
have periods of mania and periods of depression,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So a lot of times, what we might be witnessing on TV or on social media may be the rises and the falls of his moods, right? They may go
Right.
into periods of increased mania where, and the what happens in that time of mania could be a lot. It could be creativity,
Yes.
just outbursts, anger outbursts. It can be a lot
Mhm.
that goes on in the manic period, and then you have the depressive period where they want to be withdrawn and they don't want to take showers, and so that's just some of the characteristics from that. So what we're witnessing is actually what the disorder playing itself out in public. That's what I feel is happening.
So the
No,
mania
one
part of it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, really, one thing I'm gonna say: the person he's currently dating is a therapist, and I just hope that she is not his therapist, because that sounds like a grand conflict of interest. So, yeah.
Well, you know, women just as much as men suffer from super save a hoe syndrome, whether she's a therapist or not. So she might be trying to save a hoe. I'm just saying. But as far as Kanye being manic, right? The thing that, so he says that he was diagnosed with being bipolar. For me, I think that the only thing that's highlighted on social media is when he is manic. We've never been privileged to Kanye being depressed or anything like that. So, do we even know for sure that this is a thing? What I've come across is the fact that when things are happening within the world and other people don't understand or a person doesn't fit into their box, we have to put you in a box because that's the only way normal people or average people on the outside can understand and justify the behavior and what's happening. You're either, oh, you got to be on a spectrum, or you got to be bipolar, or you got to be crazy, because normal people need to justify behavior. Now, I'm not saying that he's not any of those things, but I'm just saying what has been presented to us has only been the highlight of him being at this high and him being manic. So I don't know. Did you guys watch the documentary at all?
I did.
I didn't watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, at least.
So even with you not watching it, I just feel like the documentary for me gave me some insight to how Kanye thinks a little bit. And his mom, like his relationship with his mom was crazy. Not crazy like bad. I mean, like, I just feel like this woman, there was nothing Kanye did that wasn't amazing. Everything he did was amazing. She told him that it was amazing. You know how white parents tell their kids all the time, baby, you're amazing, you're wonderful, you can sing, you can dance, keep up the good work. She had that going for her. And it was crazy because I'm like, wow, like Black people, we're not allowed to like be like that as parents, because we're like, oh, we got to prepare our kids for the real world, right? But here it is that his mom saw something in him and all she did was praise him. They never showed any signs where she was like, Kanye, do you think this is this and this is that? Never had a reason to question himself, right? So how that translate into today, when I see him in the world today, he believes he can do anything. He's never been told no. His mother never told him no. That's our first relationship with the world is in our household. Never told him no. So right now, there is no such thing as no. And Renata said, you know, him being a billionaire, but I'm like, he doesn't even know what the word no is. So anything he wants, he goes after it with vigor. And it's something that we're not really used to in a sense, because he doesn't care who he knocks down. And it's in the public in order to get to the place of his best. Dame Dash and him didn't say yes right away, right? They kept putting him on the sidelines. He didn't have a pity party and say, oh, they're not putting my work out there. He said it, but he didn't cause that to stop him. He kept going. He was like, well, I'm going to go and create it myself. That is the most powerful thing on the planet. That is everything that everybody should live by. If somebody can't give you what it is you desire, the goal is to realize the power is within yourself to create the world that you want to live in. Kanye has clearly created the world that he wants to live in. We may not be there, but he created that world. And so even when it comes to Kim Kardashian, and I'm looking like, yeah, this is kind of abusive. I don't like it.
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy that they made this documentary, because we get to see that. We get to see that side, and I haven't watched it yet, but we get a chance to see that side of Kanye West and some of the reason behind his behaviors and the reason why he's so persistent in everything that he does. And I think we should take as parents, the parents on the panel, we take a page from his mom's book. Like, we need to praise our kids. We need to encourage them to be what it is they want to be, and explore their mind and expose them to so many various things that so that they can understand the value of just using your mind in different ways.
Right. and not being limited. But go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so I did watch a documentary, which was pretty long for one whole day, but I watched all 3 episodes in one day, and I do think I actually saw similarities in the personalities between Kanye's mother and himself. So I think a lot of the way that he acts, I saw in her. So yes, I agree with you. I agree. She thought what he did was amazing. It was very like even how she knew his raps before he was even famous. Like she was singing song by song, lyric by lyric. However, I do think she did give him some pushback. She did tell him he was arrogant. He said, "You think I'm arrogant?" But she kind of
okay.
a way of like, well, not arrogant, but you also have to present yourself a certain way.
Right.
But he, I do think he got no. I think, he got no when he was trying to become an artist, and then even when he got signed to Rockefeller, like I don't think they really took him seriously because they still just saw him as a producer. And he had to prove himself, to your point. Like he had to, I think Kanye made it where he is today because he had the drive to prove himself, which he got from, and which that confidence came from his mother, but I'm not necessarily sure if this is honestly Kanye's story because this was told through the voice of Cootie, somebody who he grew up with. So through the eyes of that person, this is what Kanye is like. And when you have footage, you can cut a story up into any narrative that you want. So to me, when I look at this, well, this is still not, to me, this is still not Kanye's story because it's not Kanye's voice. Even at the end, I was looking at the credits like, did he approve it? Is he like a producer? Is he? No, he allowed him to record, but it was the guy's video camera, and he was recording all these footage for many years. The guy owned it, so I guess like if Kanye wanted to do it, like I guess he could have sued him or whatever. But like I still don't think this is Kanye's story because this is just like a story about Kanye through the eyes of someone else.
Right. One of the comments actually says, Alex Frank said, exposure is great. And I agree with what his mother did, but we also have to highlight the unintended consequences of her not showing him how to deal with no. And that's powerful because the flip side to it is what's his mother patronizing him and not really helping him deal with the reality of people are going to tell you no some days. And this is how you're going to handle it.
But I do think he dealt with no. Like, if you even follow the story between him and Kim, there was years before they got married that he wanted to be with her. Kim had another whole marriage and relationship probably in between when he was pursuing her and after they got married. Even to this day, Kim decides to leave him and divorce him. That's a no.
That's a no. But he doesn't know how to deal with it.
He
doesn't know how to deal with it.
He's being told no, but he doesn't know how to handle it.
Right.
And I think what plays a part into that is his mental illness on how to handle that. So this is not like a bashing thing about Kanye, but it brings into like, how do you handle like different relationships when you're like going through divorce or like when you're being rejected or like even you brought up Kim Kardashian, like parenting and co-parenting issues, like just like those are the type of issues that like I think like springboard from Kanye's issues that we see in the headlines now.
Okay, I feel like not being able to take the word no is not a bad thing. I don't think that contributes to mental illness because I feel like that's most of the people who are rich and billionaires were like not taking the no. See, people can tell you no, and it's like, okay, you're a no, but I may have to get 100 no's before I get the one yes. So can we throw that on mental health? Because me being an entrepreneur, I'm like, ain't nobody telling me yes. And all the no's, I had to go and create something and say, well, I'm going to be my yes. And now you're going to be like, well, can I be a part? And I'm going to be like, no.
Yeah, I don't know if I do feel like he struggles with the no's and the rejections, which we all do, right? Mm-hmm. Like for some, it causes us to give up, and for others, it's a motivator. I think with Kanye, what I've noticed is that when he believes something is possible and when he believes in the vision, if it's himself, his project, his work, his marriage, he refuses to take no for an answer, which is different, right? So like with his marriage, I feel like he wants to be together for kids, but for the kids, I want to say that he loves Kim. I have my thoughts on like his relationship with Kim, but when you buy a house next door to your wife who is no longer interested in being with you, and you never really actually interact with her, you guys only take care of the children, which the children are being transported by nannies. So like you only see the nanny. You don't even see this woman that you want to maintain this relationship with. And you are out with other women, claiming other women publicly and saying you want your wife back. It's just kind of like,
it's normal. It's actually normal behavior.
So I think for him, it's like he believes in his vision, but like the clip from Instagram, like Kim saying like she had 3 other kids because she wanted these children. She wanted, maybe she wanted more than 4, who knows? But she wanted all of her children to have the same father. At what point did this marriage end? Because we know the marriage doesn't end at the divorce. It ends long before that. So did she continue to have children just because she wanted them? Because that creates a whole different dynamic in their relationship, right? So like I'm not a Kim basher, I'm not a Kardashian basher, but I also do not feel sorry for what she's experiencing with him in this moment.
I feel sorry for, you know how, well, let me say this. Kanye and I are not on good terms right now, right?
Oh, he spoke to you?
Why is that?
I don't know into that at all, but as a fan, as admiring the artist, like I'll always take up for Kanye because he's a Black creative. I believe he belongs to us. I believe and I appreciate and acknowledge everything he's done for our culture. But he hurt my feelings when he stood up on television and said slavery was a choice. Now I don't know if he apologized for that, but that hurt my feelings because basically you crapped on our ancestors. You crapped on our story. You crapped on our struggle and how we fought to overcome that by basically just saying slavery was a choice. And also how you support a man who doesn't care who doesn't care about anybody who looks like your same hue. So I have an issue when you have those kind of people. And then also, and the reason why I really have, because there's other people who supported Trump. There's other people I'm sure who say things. But when you have this type of influence and your career was built on the backs of the people that you are messing on, I have an issue with that. So that's why Kanye and I are not on good terms. At the same time, I acknowledge all that he's contributed to the culture. So, but back to Kim, I do have a problem with how he's treating Kim, who is now his ex-wife, but that is still his mother, the mother of his children, who was his wife, who is his family. I have a problem with treating your family a certain way online. And I've gone through that myself. I've had family members say things online about us. I'm just like, first of all, what are you talking about? Where are you getting from? That wasn't even, that's not even happened. Why are you making this? So you don't know what's going on over there on Old Calabasas Boulevard in the house of Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, the old house, because they don't have a house together anymore. But I just have a problem. Like, if you have handle that privately, don't take that to social media. That's right. I have a problem with that.
So, and I knowing who we are as people, agree, right? I have a problem with that. However, the Kardashians have lived every moment of the past almost 20 years publicly. So for him, it's not out of the ordinary, right? All of the things that have been played out on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, like if we're going to be on television talking about your stepfather transitioning to a woman, right? Or Lamar Odom's health concerns, right? Why are we not talking about our divorce, right? So, and they still have a show, and I'm curious to see how to play out on that show, right? There's also the Tristan Thompson scenario with Khloe. There are a lot of major moments that probably should have been private that the Kardashians used to generate income for themselves and build their brands. And so I wonder, like, and Kanye has never been that person. As long as I've known Kanye, even in his lyrics, like he puts a lot of stuff out there and has always done that. He's always been erratic behavior from the George Bush doesn't care about Black people to the Right. So
Yeah.
it's like he did all of that before Kim decided to marry him. Is
Right.
Yeah.
It makes sense that they attract each other because the spotlight is significant for both of their lifestyles, and they both seem like they have no problems being in the spotlight and sharing. Like you said, things that you feel may need to be secret, but they're like, we're putting it on TV. I think that the problem comes in where the Kardashians don't have the control over the content that's being put out. All right, I love the Kardashians. Let me repent 3 times. I'm just saying.
You really repented 3 times. You really did that 3 times, for real, for real.
Because Kim did mention something about I deserve to be with a man who like blah blah blah. She started like crying or whatever the case is. So I think them not having that control is definitely important. But I do also feel like when Kanye does it, the part with his daughter bothered me in a sense where he was like, I don't want my daughter to be on this. It's almost like corralling people to see your perspective because it is a valid perspective when you think about a child being on social media and North is on social media and the people are like, what's your mommy's credit card online? She's exposed. They're not normal. They're not average. So they're exposed to a whole different type of
Put your mother's credit card on.
Yes. We were all waiting. I mean, y'all were all waiting, But I feel like I don't even know if Kanye has good intentions. I feel like he is intentional and calculated by everything he does. But if he had good intentions about his daughter not being on social media because of the different type of predators that she attracts just because of who she is, then I can understand that. But it also is bringing some sort of it's bringing a demise to the family because now North's name is out there like she's freaking Kim and Kanye. She's literally just as famous as her parents. So I feel like when you go through in real life, if we separate from the celebrity, when you're going through a divorce, the main thing you want to do is try to keep it from affecting your kids in a negative light. And social media is going to have at it. So once you put that out there thinking you have these good intentions, you trying to protect her from certain type of predators, you're now putting her in the hands of other type of predators that's going to assassinate this whole situation and make it worse and blow up. It's just exhausting, honey. I don't even know why I care, but this is my
I mean, I just feel like as a man, as a father, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm always very cautious of my behavior and how my behavior can impact my children. When my kids see me on TV or wherever, like who is the man that they're seeing? Who is the man that I'm showing to them?
Mm-hmm.
In private or even in public, right? So purchasing a home across the street, can be perceived differently, right? Depending on who looks at it, you know what I mean? And to be honest with you, if my daughter had a husband and she divorced him and and he purchased a house next door to her or on the other side of the street, I'm getting involved. Me and the boys will be getting involved because now this is border because that can be perceived as something else. It could be perceived as borderline abusive, controlling,
yes,
all this type of stuff. So it's like we have to be careful, like as men, the decisions that we make and how we want the world to perceive these decisions.
Yeah.
To that point, Gerald, about the kids and how the kids view him, I think I started to soften up in my perspective towards Kanye. Occasionally he goes live on Instagram with his Sunday service choir, and like the children are there, and it's basically him walking around with his phone and like either being involved with what the choir is doing or like monitoring the kids. And you see, and they look so happy. I mean, their parents are billionaires, so why wouldn't they be happy?
Why wouldn't they be happy?
Yeah. They look so, they look so like content and it appears that they feel safe. That's the point. Like at one point, kids are playing and kids get into it. It's my toy, or like I was doing this, or this is how I want to play. And there was one time where you see him like go and get one of the kids because there seems to be an issue with the kids. And you could hear like how protected the child felt in his arms after he picked them up. You know what I mean? So it kind of was like heartwarming a little bit to see him interact with his kids and how safe they feel around him. But this was also prior to like when he spiraled with his Pete Davidson attacks and like all of the recent things he's posted online.
Right. And this is the last point I'll make about this, right? To the argument, like you have to protect your family. And the children are probably not overly exposed to these situations like we are. You know, I don't even think those children grasp how big their family name is because they know their families on television, but do they understand to the magnitude how famous they are? So I don't think they even realize or know what Kanye is even posting online because they probably don't even have access to that information. So of course, to Renata's point, daddy's, you know, this is just daddy, you know, who like I love, who plays with me, who puts me on his shoulders and we play and crawl around the house. So it's just daddy, you know. So, but anyway, I just want Kanye, I want us to have a good relationship again. So I just want everything, you know, because I love listen, I will always stand up for him as a mental health advocate. I'll stand up for him as someone who loves Black creatives. I'll stand up for him. I think he's, just to Gerald's point, he's a creative genius. Like he's made careers. But like at the same time, and I also recognize he has issues, but you know, it's the other issues where it's like you can't treat your family like that, man, and you can't crap on people who made you who you are. You can't and get away with it.
If only average men had friends like that in their circle to tell them, you gotta pay child support, sir. Oh, okay. All right. So that's my truth. I don't know what y'all trying
I feel you just plug that in there. Them dear.